A black ceiling stretches over the ocean, so wide and smooth that it looks less like ice than a second night pressed against the water. The camera glides beneath it, above. Thousands of small blue-white points glow inside the frozen roof. They are not stars. They are eggs embedded upside down in the ice, clustered in long veins where warmth rises from the hidden sea below. For a while, nothing moves except the water. Slow currents pass under the ceiling. Fine particles drift upward and vanish into hairline cracks. The egg clusters answer with faint pulses as if the ice itself is breathing. This ocean has no open sky, its sky is frozen. Its nursery hangs overhead, the eggs grow inside shallow pockets melted into the underside of the ice. Thermal currents carry dissolved minerals, chemical warmth and microscopic life into the ceiling. Thin membranes inside the ice absorb these flows. Each egg is held by a root-like frozen stalk, anchored above the dark water, feeding until its glow becomes steady enough to be seen from far below. The glow is not decoration, it is timing. A single bright speck drops from the ice, turns slowly in the black water, and sinks like a blue ember. Around it, the ocean remains still. Then another falls, then 10, then hundreds. Their bodies are dark, narrow, and soft-edged, built for feeling movement, rather than seeing it. Long sensory fins trail from their sides, whisker, like tendrils open in the water. They do not hunt by sight, they wait for falling light. The larvae are the first food of this hidden ocean. Some are eaten before they fall 5 body lengths, some vanish into transparent mouths, some are caught by drifting nets of mucus cast by blind filter animals, clinging to ice ridges, but many survive the descent. Their glow dims as they sink, protecting them from the animals above. Their bodies fold into crescent shapes and begin to swim toward warmer currents. Every hatch becomes a brief storm of hunger. Small black swimmers surge upward, slow bell-shaped grazers open wide. Long ribbon predators twist through the falling sparks, striking not at the brightest larvae but at the dim ones that have almost escaped. The water fills with collisions, flashes, and sudden turns. Then, as quickly as it began, the fall thins, the ceiling darkens. The animals below scatter. The ocean returns to black. But nothing here is wasted. Larvae that survive the first descent become drifting feeders, eating chemical films and mineral snow. As they grow, they lose their glow and become part of the dark water community. Some become slow-armored crawlers under the ice. Some become soft vertical swimmers that rise only during the next hatch. A few return to the ceiling as adults, carrying reproductive cells into cracks warmed by the same thermal currents that fed them at birth. The top of the world is also its womb. The ice ceiling is not passive, it is a living surface shaped by generations of hatching. Older egg fields leave behind mineral scars, cloudy halos and hollow chambers where water continues to circulate. New colonies form along these scars because they already hold warmth. Over time, the ceiling becomes a map of birth, abandoned nurseries, active clusters, fresh cracks and dark zones where no eggs can grow. Some regions are dangerous. In colder basins, eggs develop slowly and hatch weak. In unstable ice, entire clusters break loose before the larvae mature, falling as frozen slabs that crush the animals waiting below. In warmer regions, hatching can happen too early, flooding the water with larvae before the deep animals have migrated into position. Survival depends on timing. Largest blind animals know the rhythm. They travel under the ceiling in slow seasonal circuits, following the faint increase of light. Their bodies are heavy and pale beneath the black skin, storing fat between hatching seasons. At peak glow, the ice looks like a reversed star field. Then the release begins. The first larvae fall from the brightest cracks. the waiting animals rise. A giant filter grazer opens a mouth wider than its head, and lets the sparks drift in. Smaller predators hide beside its shadow, stealing larvae that slip past. Beneath them, bottom dwellers wait for the dead, the damaged, and the frozen fragments that sink beyond the first feeding layer. The hatch feeds every level of the ocean. It feeds the fast swimmers near the ceiling. It feeds the suspended grazers in midwater. It feeds the scavengers far below. Even the broken shells enrich the dark mud, where microbial mats turn the remains back into nutrients that thermal currents will eventually lift into the ice again. The cycle is vertical: warmth rises, eggs grow, larvae fall, animals gather. Remains sink, minerals return. On most worlds, birth is imagined as an emergence into light. Here, birth is a descent into darkness. The most spectacular hatches occur along the black ridges where old cracks meet new heat. Egg colonies there grow in thick curtains, layering one generation over another. The ceiling glows so intensely that the ocean beneath becomes blue for a few minutes. Blind animals do not see this light as we would, but their skin responds, their sensory organs open. Their fins tremble, their bodies turn upward before the first larva drops. The entire ocean listens for birth. Not all falling life is helpless. Some larvae hatch with thread-like membranes that slow their descent. They drift away from the feeding swarm, carried by side currents into safer darkness. Others pulse in synchronized flashes, confusing predators by making hundreds of falling bodies appear as one continuous sheet of light. Some release bitter chemical clouds when swallowed, forcing young predators to spit them out alive. Every hatch is a selection event. The ceiling produces more life than the ocean can spare. Most larvae die. The few that survive carry the shape of the next generation upward again. At the edge of the nursery fields, something larger moves. A blind ceiling leviathan slides just below the ice, its flat head brushing the egg roots without breaking them. It does not eat the larva, it feeds on the mineral films around the colonies, cleaning the ice and keeping the egg pockets open. Smaller animals follow in its wake, grazing on scraps. Without these slow giants, the nurseries would choke under their own growth. Even care here looks like feeding. The hatch ends, the ceiling dims from blue-white to dull gray, empty egg stalks sway in the current. A few late larvae cling to the ice, too long, then detach into an ocean already quiet. Their chance is lower now. The waiting animals have dispersed, but the remaining predators are sharper, more selective, and less distracted. One late larva falls alone. It sinks through black water, past a sleeping grazer, past a drifting filter net, past the open jaws of a ribbon predator. Its glow flickers once, then folds inward. It becomes almost invisible. Far below, a warm current catches it. The larva turns, not downward now, but sideways, carried toward a dim mineral plume. Around it, other survivors gather, no longer sparks from the ceiling, but the first thin bodies of a new generation. Above them, the ice ceiling rests in darkness. For now, the sky is quiet, but inside the frozen roof, new eggs are already beginning to glow.